Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this segment of our Women of Significance in STEM series of conversations. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with Professor Ania. Let me see, I've got to get this Paradowska. How did I do, Ania?
Fantastically, yeah, fantastic.
Beautiful. So Ania is the Industry Engagement Manager at ANSTO and a conjugate professor of advanced structure and materials at the University of Sydney. So today we're going to explore a little bit of the story and the success secrets behind Ania's career progression today. So welcome, Ania.
Thank you very much for inviting me to this interview. I hope I will have some thoughts that I accommodate over the period of time, and I can share and help somebody.
Yes, absolutely. And so if we could start with what you do, and I guess what your work, what's the outcome or the benefits of the work you do?
So I'm a material scientist, and I work on the interactions between the science, academia, and industry. So in my work, I build the bridges between the science and industry mainly. So trying to find a solution to industry problems by utilizing large-scale infrastructure like the neutron facility that I work on, and to help them optimize, improve safety, reliability, and reduce the cost of the productions or whatever projects they are currently running. So I specialize in welding and additive manufacturing. So I help mainly in these sectors, but I also accommodate interactions of other industry to our facilities. So we do quite a lot of work in batteries, renewable energies. We do work in chemical space, solar power, food and agriculture. We have a project in that space. But mainly our biggest selling is advanced manufacturing, broad spectrum, and I think stress measurements, which is optimizing the fitness for surface or utility, optimizing the performance of the components in service, you know, from trains, trams, to aerospace components or bridges and civil structures to space construction. So I like my work very much because of the fact that you don't face the same problem twice. You know, people come with the fruits of science or fruits of the engineering project, and we're trying to find a solution in a timely manner, and then there is another project and another client. So there is a lot of various projects, and I like a lot the interactions with the clients, as well as solving problems and get my hands dirty from time to time.
So where did this intense curiosity come from for this line of science? Because you're right, it's not the front-facing part of science, like finding the or creating the vaccine for COVID, right? Which is very much sort of frontline science, front of mind right now. You know, the work, material science, and what's going on, you know, at the micro level of the materials that go into the trains and the infrastructure that we take for granted. I mean, how did you find your way into such a specialized field, Ania?
I have a master in engineering from the Technical University in Poland, in Wrocław. I always like science and engineering and maths. I have two brothers, so, you know, I'm probably the more interested in destroying and building things than both of them combined. So,
and were they older than you?
No, they're actually younger. So, but the thing is, my dad have business, and that he was repairing the buses and driving people from one place to another. But you know, it was constantly we were repairing.
Yeah.
So, or cleaning, or you know, there was a lot of engineering at home, and I think I am the first one graduate with the university degree in my house. So, and
congratulations.
Thank you. And I always sort of thought I wanted to graduate, but I didn't know what I'm going to do. And actually, to my surprise, when I finished my university and I went onto the production line, they were saying like, oh, but you're a woman. You cannot work here. So why didn't you tell me that 5 years ago? You know?
So was that also the case in Poland, that it was unusual for women to be?
Yes. I mean, I specialize in material science and monitoring system, and there was a majority, and did my specialization in electrical engineering, and there was probably, we can count the females on one hand. However, it never really bothers me. I actually opposite, so I'm a very stubborn person. You know?
Now, I think this is an interesting point, Ania, that it didn't bother you to be the only woman on the team or in the group. Yeah, so so that's one aspect to it. And did that, and I guess the other question is, were you treated differently being the only woman, or perhaps not?
So the funny thing is, in education system is that, you know, you go to school, to the primary school, and there is 50-50. You go to high school, it's 50-50. It's only when you start university, you realize that, wow, there's no females, you know. And, you know, I went to math phys class and it was 50-50, and all the women that I studied in high school love maths, but they choose different professions. Some of them went to the economics or law. You know, lots of my colleagues from high school have a very various career. But my colleagues choose the engineering, and so I have the same crowd. You know, like so even though I was a rare example of female, and I realized that only then I realized that okay, women don't do engineering. You know, like there is. I was surprised, because it didn't occur to me at the high school level that you know, that girls don't do maths, because I was in math phys class and it was 50-50, and all girls were doing maths and they were pretty good at that. You know, but I think that at university, as much as there were rare examples of female professors, but they were there, so you can. I knew how the professor in engineering looked like, and at the time it wasn't such a career that I thought I will use. I was dreaming about career in multinational consulting firm or something like that. You know, that I will be. I also have a double degree. I choose teaching because for a long time I thought I will be a teacher. I thought that is the most rewarding, and that's the only smart females I've been seeing as a growing child in a little village. You know, I thought that's the career for a smart woman. Yeah, and but I think when I get to university, I have the right mentors, even though they were not females. They were the people. Professors and that were seeing something in me. I didn't even know if I'm in the right place, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, but they were just pushing and encouraging. And I think that's...
Yes. How did they express that? How did they demonstrate that they saw something in you?
I think, you know, not everybody have the same approach. I mean, some people were a little bit more chauvinistic than others, but there were people who I met for the first time, people that just inspired me. You know, there were people who work with industry, solving the real problem, and they are teaching us at the universities. So for me, it was more about, and they were saying, you can do that. Like, yes, that's the career. A career after university is your choice, and you are you don't have to work in the factory. You can be anything, and
Yes.
so the university was sort of explained to me that there is sort of like a pyramid. You're learning a lots of things, and then you choose maybe 15% of what you learn in your career path, but then you will build up on that
So
later.
you had professors and mentors who were able to cast a vision for you, to broaden your perspective while you were going down this very, concentrated body of education.
I mean,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
thing is, at the time in Poland, when I was studying, the highest unemployment was in the area of higher education. So I already knew that it's gonna be rather difficult to get a job or something. But I was thinking, everybody was saying, if you choose what you love, and you're never gonna work a day in your life, and if you're really good in what you're passionate in what you do, you will find your niche. Yeah, you will find your. And I think in my career choices, I never have a job that actually was. I designed the job for myself. Maybe later in the interview we'll see that I cross bridges because I didn't know that engineers don't apply for instrument scientist position. I didn't.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know, I thought if it is advertised, I should apply. I was surprised that I'm the first woman and the first engineer in that facility, but I was already there. So, I think it's important to, especially with the younger generation of people, just to keep them dreaming big. I think
This is what I'm hearing, Anya, because, you're really defying the statement that we hear often about the challenge with women often is that if we see a job specification and if we only can tick 6 boxes or even 8 boxes, we won't apply because we want to have 11 ticks out of the 10. But you're telling me that you didn't really consider the detail. You saw the end result and there was something that drove you to put yourself forward and give it a go.
Like, I was so desperate that I sent hundreds of resumes. And whatever comes back, I was just happy to have the sort of interview and learn from it. When I first came into this country, I was
what brought you to Australia?
So I came to Australia to study business, and after I graduated from the university, I wanted to learn English, and I was thinking, okay, if I study business at TAFE, I can hit 2 birds with 1 stone, and have a little bit of engineering from Poland and a business that will set me for the career. That also a part of me, I was very interested in economics, and I thought engineering is the actually, my parents encouraged me to study engineering rather than economics. Oh my gosh, they know me well. Because after 1 year of business, I thought, oh my gosh, engineering is what I wanted to pursue. Yeah. I am grateful for this experience. I learned heaps, but yes, I have an engineering mind, and I wanted to pursue a career in engineering.
So what was it about engineering? Because if we think about it, we think of complex problem solving. Commerce and business deals with problem solving in business. Engineering is talking about problem solving in how things work and how to make things work better. So what was it about engineering problem solving that inspires you?
I think the nature of the question. So engineers are usually, rather than inventors, are people who makes things better and like to make the hands dirty. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to, be a mechanic, but you can work and simulate things on the computer. But the strong needs for improvements and making things better.
And
That's
something tangible, something physical.
Yes, yes. I think it's quite interesting. You know, I always like to break things. I think I could fix them. Sometimes it works, sometimes not. But the thing is, you know, I am dyslexic. Yeah, so I don't. The other thing is for me, you know, I have to figure out lots of things without of instruction. So, you know, because I couldn't read them, or they were too long, or not in the way. So my brain was to find the quick solutions. It works that way.
I love it. I mean, a lot of people would just give up because, you know, they feel less than because they have, you know, difficulty in reading and making sense of things, and yet you found a way to turn it to your advantage. That seems to be something you're very good at, Ania. So I want to hear, what has challenged you? What has really stumped you then? Like, you've changed countries, you know, got yourself hired into industry that, you know, that has never hired an engineer before. You know, you've achieved a lot in a very short period of time, and you have such a joyful perspective on what's next.
I am excited. I think I'm generally optimistic. My husband thinks that I'm inappropriate optimist. You know, like I don't see difficulties, or I see them, as I fear them, but I don't allow them to get into my way. And I have I will try to do as much as I can, and towards the goal that I put it into myself. And if I feel that I don't have a fear of failure, I think, and you know, like before I was like, I think especially girls in the educational system, or we've been trained that way. I have 2 children, 2 girls myself. And I just realized that we constantly have to be perfect, look perfect, don't get dirty, you know. And I grew up in a small, dirty village, and we were allowed to be dirty. Like we were allowed to play and mess up things, and fail. And you know, like the one of the things, you know, I was a good student, but I was dyslexic, so I never could be the best. I was just good, yeah. But it allows me to fail and improve, and I think it's that internal strength that you accommodate over the period of year, you know, like of years of experience. That you know, like I often say, my students, you know, if they close the door, I will find the window. It's just how badly I want this. You know?
There it is. And this was one of my favorite quotes is, you know, the starting point, and I have it up on my wall, the starting point of all achievement is desire. Right. You've got to want the outcome, the dream, the goal, the objective, you know, whatever way, whatever word you put on it, there's got to, and that's got to come from within you. It's not something that someone else can give you or set out for you. You know, it's got to. So where did that come from? You know, you mentioned that your father was obviously very industrious, you know, fixing things and cleaning things, and you're allowed to be dirty as a child, and, you know, a small village, but it sounds like you had a very, an industrious household.
Yeah. I mean, I'm my dad's daughter, so you know, I wanted to always be around him, and see how things get, you know, all the mechanics of the car and buses really interest me. And
so your natural interest already from
I just wanted, I was interested in how things work, and he was patient enough. Now, as my mother now, I really now understand what he was, when he was rolling his eyes when I was asking the repetitive questions. He was patient enough to give me this answer. And I think the same what I found it at like when I was at university back in Poland and even in Australia when I was doing my PhD is if you find the people who will listen and ask your question, stimulate your question. I find this, one of the reasons why I wanted to work at ANSTO is like, I love beautiful brains. Like I have a desire to work around people who are smart. I'm not the smartest. I love being surrounded by smart people.
Ania, now this is another important point, that you thrive in being in a group of people where others look smarter than you.
Yes.
There's many people who are fearful of that.
No, I think they're motivating me, and actually I'm constantly learning from them. So because I'm dyslexic, I can only learn by the argument.
Through conversation. So you're much better at conversation communication than written communication, I bet.
That's right.
But isn't that the power of connection and of influence? And if we look at what problem are we seeing in STEM, we're seeing there's not enough diversity in decision-making roles. There's not enough women. There's not enough, women coming into the technical degrees, let alone then staying in those careers and businesses long enough to become the decision makers and the influencers of strategy, and then to take those roles in government where, again, you've got a very, structured and thorough evidence-based approach to decision making. This is one of the key success traits or leadership traits that we're looking for, is as one of the things, reasons we want more women in those roles of influence. Because this is also what I'm hearing from you, Ania, is that, so much you've really connected with what is authentically you, that has, that your curiosity and you've found a way of creating your career path around things that inspire you and light you up very naturally.
Yes. I like to do new things.
Yeah.
and I like to be around people who have ideas, but also I find it myself a little bit like a translator, so I have a teaching degree, materials degree from Poland and mechanical from PhD, sort of like I cannot decide what I wanted to do, but in a way it shapes me to be that connection between the material science and the engineering. Like I always thought, I think growing up, like I'm not good in everything. I wanted to be the best in something. I couldn't figure out what it is. And then probably when I come to my first job as an instrument scientist, which is, from the sideline, you would thought is a horrible job, like it's 24/7, you are like working as a technical, the people are demanding, the instrument is powerful. I didn't understand how things work. It's so much going on, and in all multiple levels, from just keeping clean to let it operate, write the papers. But the fact that it is so multitasking and so different, that's first time I'm not bored. Like I think that is the first time I have only one job. Before I used to study and have 3 jobs, or study and have multiple levels of engagement. And then I come to large-scale facility and I can do engagement with industry. I can train the students. I can run an experiment and I can build stuff. It's just finally I am a perfect fit for a job. And yeah, I mean, since then things also changed a little bit different. I moved back there. So my first job was actually in Oxford, in UK. So I did my PhD from ANSTO and then from Monash University and went to UK. But I knew that, like you finally fit in. Like it's such a demanding job. It requires so much skills that even as a student, I was thinking this is not a job that I would like to do. But when I get into it, I absolutely love it. And the thing is, if you find what you love, even if it is demanding, you don't feel so drained because you're self-motivated to the point that that it brings your passion shows off, and your character, and the good things that you bring into the team, because usually it's around the team. So,
but it sounds like you've had a real willingness to take risks and put yourself forward and travel to the other side of the world and go into, you know, an industry that, you know, you didn't know before, and a role that you thought you wouldn't like, and yet it created so much joy for you. And clearly you have an enormous capacity to multitask and to make a lot of decisions about a lot of things, you know, that the role requires. So, you know, and so I guess if you were, I'm curious too, whether there is in your own professional development outside the technical degrees you've done, you know, have you had leadership training or people management training of any sort, or has that all come quite naturally as part of your growth process as well?
I mean, in all my employees in the past, in the Science Technology Facility Council in UK, and also at ANSTO, I attend lots of internal development, leadership skills program and training, and I'm into the self-development on the LinkedIn as well. And I always, I am wanted to improve. On many levels, engineering, technical, but also personal, you know, because
so what has been the biggest growth area? Like, you know, so far I haven't seen any gaps. you've got it all covered, you know. So I'm
absolutely not. Actually, I think for me the biggest, because as my career progressed, I will require different skills. Yeah, like you know, when I came to ANSTO, the industrial liaison office didn't exist. We didn't have any clients yet. We didn't have the strategy. So I liked the challenge. I approached my boss and I was thinking, like, I would like to do that. And then I have these people in place that were able to, you know, like if she wanted to lead, we will let her, you know, I support her. And I think that so my training is always on the job. You know, like most of the skills that I'm learning are specifically required for the current status. But for me, I learn very well with a mentor. You know, like you know, and I think I've been lucky to have these fantastic mentors, male and females, that are giving me the guidance and helping me to, you know, giving me what specific, helping me to synthesize what I need to do to move to the next level. You know,
so are they people of in higher level roles within the organization or externally? How do you choose your mentors? What skills or characteristics are you looking for in mentors?
So mentors are, for me, it's not only about your career path, it's about also your life. Yeah. So depending, you know, I will start my mentor when I, you know, I wanted to be like my mom, then I wanted to be like my professor at the university or whatever. You know, I have these mentors who are changing through my career, but I think I have a couple of colleagues who are on probably the same level as me at my facility, and they are my mentors. You know, they don't even know that I call them that name, but I am watching and observing and asking the question, how you get this right? How you get I will not say that the mentor have to be happy with something specific.
So it's not a formal relationship.
Not a formal relationship.
What I'm helping. But what I'm also hearing, Ania, is that you are you notice things, and your curiosity again drives you to ask the question. Whereas a lot of women might sit back and say, oh, I couldn't, you know, I don't dare approach that person because they're so busy. I don't want to have to waste their time. But I'm not seeing that kind of sitting back. You know what I mean? Like, so this is what I'm seeing in you. There's like it's like you're a childlike curiosity that is still your modus operandi. I mean, in an adult, you know, way, but you don't seem to be worried about what other people think.
I mean, I am worried, but not to the point that you have to balance, you know, what you get out of the things. I mean, when I was doing my degree at Monash University, for example, I found it that there are specific skills that we don't have, and these skills are abroad, yeah. And I approach very famous professors on the other side of the, you know, in US and in UK to give me advice. And the point was that I didn't know that students don't ask this question. I just ask. I mean, I read your paper, and I find it this myself even, that if I have a question, if you specify the question and it's important for you, and you open it to the other person, that person will naturally will be intrigued and will want it to help you. You know, like even I wanted, when I was going to UK, for example, for a job, I wanted to work with a specific professor. and I was working on it, and then he didn't have a position at that time. But he told me, Ania, if you want to work with me, you go to STFC, ISIS, and you can work there and we will work together. So you never know how things will work out. Don't be so rigid, you know, like about your career choices or your mentor's choices. You know, the people who are molding you are the people from your environment. You know, like I find it. I learned lots of lessons from my students. and lots of lessons from my colleagues, lots of messages from my boss and his bosses. But I also find the people, I am not very, especially in digital age, you're not limited to your own environment. Since the internet comes out, and the whole world is available, and I'm interested in the scientific world. So you can find these amazing mentors. How did they get there? And you know, how did they want you to, and if I would go to the conference and somebody that I admire read the papers and goes to, I will make sure I will go and say hi, yeah. And you know, sometimes they were reading, even as a PhD student, I have my card, and they would say, you ask questions. I said, and you just a PhD student? Only for 2 more years or 1 more year. And then I will join the club, yeah. And the point of it is just you have to be fearless. I think the fact that I am not afraid of failure, and I actually take people criticism quite. It hurts every time, and I make mistakes. I have accent. Sometimes people don't understand me. Everything what I'm trying to say, but it's worth it to be a little bit intimidated to get the answer you want, and or the interactions or the networking that you wanted to know. In the end, you know, people are very busy, and usually they don't remember these hiccups that we have.
But again, what I'm hearing is that same commitment to achieve your vision of what you want. You're curious to see how this person got to where they are, or you're deeply curious about getting an answer to your question, and that is more important to you to achieve that than it is perhaps to not bother people, or to you know, or to allow the criticism to stop you, because these are the sorts of things that you might take for granted, Ania. But you know, this is just such wonderful demonstration here of the spirit and the perseverance I'm hearing too. Yeah. But to really lock in on what it is you want. And this has this been quite sort of easy for you to make this? You might not have known exactly what career, but you know, engineering has taken you on this journey, and it seems that things have unfolded, and you've then set your sights on the next goal.
It is not like I was born like I was a little girl and I knew I wanted to be a professor at university. I think in my case, the appetite grows with the opportunities I saw, or the other people that I met on my journey that were inspiring. And you know, I think I never have a fix goal that what I wanted to achieve. I was just always pushing. Actually, is a very recently I reflected on this, that I never pick it up any of my degrees. I never pick it up my prizes. You know, like I'm already on another thing. You know, like my master degree was sent it to me, my PhD was sent it to me.
So you're on the move all the time. This is another trait I'm seeing, because you have achieved a lot in you know, in a short period of time. So what's next for you in these next, say, 5 years?
So recently I moved to the position of co-joint professor at the University of Sydney, and it is a first time we have this kind of establishment for somebody at ANSTO, and it's a very great opportunity, especially for a woman, again, to be in the engineering environment and on one of the best universities in the world. And I wanted to make that success, and as an opportunity for other people, men and female, to have that opportunity to explore possibilities, you know. So I think there is so much potential. I always, you know, for the last couple of years, I was thinking, well, yeah, one day I would like to be a professor at the university and share what I learned. And that, you know, working in a large-scale facility, working with industry, I think I have so much to give, you know, like, I think, and also at the same time, I'm learning so much, because it's a very different thing to be at university as you a PhD student, to be at university as a professor without of any steps in between it. You know, like, for your career progressions, you know, like I find this is very challenging, but also very motivating, you know, like you sort of pioneer in your own way, you know.
So you've established a new norm, Ania, you know, like this new, like a new fast track, you know, to professorship. I mean,
I think that also I realize where I think I learn where my niche is, you know, like I think it's important to understanding your strengths and your weaknesses and work on the weaknesses, but power up the strengths. And I think, you know, for when we in one institution for very, very long time, we become comfortable. You know, even I've been in my institution for 7 years. I've been moving 2 times, and I was in New York. I need another move because I need to do something different and challenge myself. I thrive in uncomfortable.
You thrive in so that's another unusual norm, if you like, because, you know, as humans, we're often trying to keep ourselves safe, you know, keep the status quo to stay safe. And so here you are showing us how we can thrive in being uncomfortable, thrive in the unknown, throw ourselves into into new ponds, right? There's that saying that you can't learn to swim out of a book, right? Isn't it? You've got to jump into the pool, and you certainly have jumped into many pools in a very short, relatively short period of time. And you have family as well, so you're also demonstrating that you can, you know, progress your career and manage family. Like, what is your secret to success there? Because that can be a big challenge. Again, it's still falling, you know, parenting is still falling into the domain of you know, the mother often still.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
how do you manage that?
I will, first of all, I will not like to change anything in terms of the, I still think it's a fantastic experience. Probably the most enriching experience in my life, be a mom. And I always knew that if I will be I will have children, that I would like to be the hands-on mom. You know, like, you know, it's my lifelong experiment. I think it's so
it is. You can't give them back. A lifelong experiment. I love it.
But I think it's the important thing is, you know, we have sometimes females, this sort of thinking, oh, it will not, I have to sacrifice to have this, I have to sacrifice to have that. I mean, I didn't have my children early, that's true. And I have them in, after I have my first job, it was some kind of, you know, like I have to have a job to the financial security to have children. But the thing is, you know, finding the right partner is the key. You know, behind every successful woman, there is a amazing man standing behind her, or a woman, because you have to be having that partnerships in your relationships that pick you up when you fail and lift you and celebrate with you when you succeed. That is.
So there's another bridge you've built.
That's right. That's right. I think the point is for me that our children are, you know, they are taking lots of time, and I put lots of things on hold. You know, I used to be really workaholic. You know, I really was working 12 hours days, and you know, but I find that you know, it grew me on another level of understanding the human behavior and understanding myself, what is important to me, and how I wanted to be pursued. You know, like we play as a females lots of role, a mother, sister, you know, and is as much as it's demanding, is so much brings so much happiness. I don't think I laugh as much since I have children, you know, in my before children, what I'm doing now, you know, like I think I don't change things. And I think if you have that attitude towards life, that you know, if they come along, they're gonna grow with you. You know, they don't know anything better, and you're always gonna be the best. You know?
Mum is always the best. Yes.
Exactly. So, you know, give yourself a little slack, you know, when you have this mother skill. But I think I remember asking my mom, you know, like when my second child was born, like, oh, am I going to work too quickly? Like, I miss it, but I wanted to stay around. And I was not planning to have more than two. Yeah. She's saying, you know, Ania, nobody unhappy can make anybody happy. So make yourself happy, and they will be happy around you. Think of you, what you wanted to do, and, you know, share the love and passion that you have. And for me, this is very important of both. You know, at work, I have to feel I'm needed. The work I'm doing, okay, I'm not working on the next vaccine, but I'm helping to make plane and trains safer. It's my small contribution to society that I make, and my children know that. So if I have to stay long, they know I will compensate for it, but they also know why, mommy.
Yes, it's the why. Again, it's the why does this matter? And I think you've really you know, brought our conversation to a really important point here of like what I need matters. And I see that you had that role modeling from your mother as well. So a lot of lessons we learn in those early years, how important they are throughout life. And of course, the ones that continue to serve us, we continue to use. The lessons we learned that don't serve us, let's let those go. And it sounds like you've definitely got your eye on the prize, on the meaningful prize, on, you know, the things that that matter to you, but also make a difference to the people around you, both in your family, in your organization, and then the work you do that is creating value to the community and the world at large. And I feel very privileged to have been able to hear some of the highlights and the inner workings of your story so far, Ania. So I'm very grateful for your time.
Oh, thank you very much.
And I am really, really curious to continue to follow your trajectory and to support you in any way I can as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share my story. And I hope it will help some other females behind just who are starting on this journey, because I think it's exciting. For me, the engineering is amazing, because this is a profession with no borders. You can work in any countries, maybe even on the moon. You know, so.
And just today, I think it was Michael Cannon Brooks from Atlassian was saying, you know, we should be going 100% renewables, you know, and so this country, this is what we need to be focusing on. So maybe he can, you know, give us some of the of his you know, resources to help make that happen faster.
I really think, you know, you need to have a vision. If you know what you want, you're halfway there.
Oh, that's a wonderful place to close. If you have a vision, you are halfway there, because what we focus on expands, doesn't it?
That's right.
I thank you very much, Ania.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.